Here we go.
Here we are. All right, everybody, welcome to the Transparent Cult podcast, hosted by Steven, co-hosted by Jared, or dual hosted, should I say?
Dual hosted. I like that.
Yes,
Made it to episode 2. What a milestone. Very nice.
that's right. Completely winging it, per usual.
Per usual, as our conversations go.
That's right.
So, Jared, I should also feel like we should tell the people that we're cousins. I feel like that might be an interesting piece of information
You
for
know, we are
everybody.
cousins. That is correct. We are first cousins. Our mothers are sisters. But I will say this because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like when people talk about being around their, it's like, oh, I'm hanging out with my cousin. It's almost like kind of like, oh, you got to hang out with them because they're family. But in yours and our case, I feel like we are genuine good friends, aside from being cousins. So that
Mm-hmm.
is that is also important to note. I think fate brought us together with family.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I do like how our family, when you put them all together, just kind of looks like people randomly gathering at a bus stop. Like, we don't really look alike. A lot of the
yeah,
family.
yeah. Well, that is right. You look you're look very Anglo-Saxon, and I look very Mediterranean. I don't know. I feel funny talking about this. I don't know why I got like subconscious talking about that. But yeah. And then Robert's like a tweener.
Mm.
Your mom looks Latina to me. My mom too, actually. Uncle John
Mm-hmm.
looks like an Asian somehow.
He does.
A little bit.
He does.
Yeah.
But just expanding upon our last episode, tell us about the Hercules comic book idea you got going on, Jared.
That's right. And I'm going with we're going with
Heracles.
the Greek pronunciation Heracles. Yeah, so we were talking about that, and yeah, like I said to you in private, I just went into it as if everybody knew what I was talking about. At the moment, I am currently attempting to write a comic book. It's a very, very, very loose retelling of Heracles, and in the story, it takes place in modern day. Heracles is a regular guy who is bestowed upon him by the gods the power of Heracles, along with some recollection of the ancient time period, the mythical times. And so that's where we're going at. That's where I was coming from with that. And he has some historical characters are his mentors. One, his primary mentor, being the great, well, depending on who you ask. If you ask me, he's great. The great Diogenes. And, I would say the unanimously regarded great Aristotle by
Some would
all
say he's
sides.
ass.
Some would say he is ass. That is right. I appreciate that. I appreciate that input. And for all the listeners, we appreciate all input,
Mm-hmm.
good and bad. Kind of especially the bad. Yeah. Now you know what? Well, maybe. Well, I invite all opinions. And if you disagree with something, please say so, and we'll tell you why you're wrong after. That was a great take, but you're wrong.
But you're wrong.
Because people don't know, in an alternative life, our host here, Stephen, was an art curator. And what he did, what he did, he would analyze and interpret the themes of different art pieces.
Totally forgot this until you bring it up. Yeah.
You actually analyzed some true art because some of our friends you did little mural paintings, and Stephen was interpreting them. And I gave my opinion on what was going on. He said, Jared, that's an interesting take, but you're wrong. You're not seeing what it really is.
I understand what you're saying, but you're wrong. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Well, let's delve a little bit more into those teachers that you're mentioning, Diogenes, Aristotle. What would you say? We kind of talked about it before, But if you had to kind of narrow down some, we'll start with Aristotle, some thoughts that really resonate with you.
With Aristotle, first I should say I am highly credentialed.
Yes, you are, sir. You are. Yes, you are. This guy's very knowledgeable.
Yes, I have a formal degree in philosophy
He does.
from the prestigious school, from Ace Prestigious. I'm just kidding, but I do know I'm not kidding about my degree. But I don't. I want to know how prestigious you would say my university was. I guess that depends on who you ask. If you ask them, they're the greatest. But that's up for debate. But yeah. Anyway, what resonates with me with Aristotle? I think like this, like the almost like scientific analysis of virtue, I think is what really hits me with Aristotle, and the fact that he uh, he discusses the truth that human beings, our lives aren't just stagnant. We're not just one point. We're always going somewhere. We're always aiming towards a direction, and there's always a path, no matter what. The path goes whether you want it to or not. It's like you're always in motion, and he understood that. And so in life, with the virtue, um, it's not just like, oh yeah, it's something that's just here. It's like something that you actually practice and you work on and you build it into that aim. You're aiming towards something and you're progressing. So I would say that's one concept that really resonates with me with Aristotle. Because I feel like Socrates, like he kind of talks a lot of shit. He's like, this is right. Well, no, he makes great points. And like in the Republic, when Plato's representing Socrates through his work, you know um, they talk about it and they break it down and they talk about what is good and what is bad, but then you take that virtue and then Aristotle dissects it and like really like tries to figure out what is that, like is like what does that mean to be that. And of course his famous idea of the middle path of it's a balance, like everything is a balance, excuse me. And virtue is a balance between two vice or two like sinful ways of being, if you will. And I think in the last podcast I talked about, did I talk about courage? The famous one, courage is the balance between foolhardiness and cowardice, And so you have that middle ground. And yeah, I think that's interesting, Aristotle, the great scientist, one of the probably, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of historically, might have some Indians, or I know somebody who's really big into Indian history or Arab history and be like, this guy was a scientist way before Aristotle. But Aristotle was like, one of that I can recall, like one of the first true scientists analyzing the physical world, dissecting it. I mean, I even heard, because him and his boy, Alexander, like Alexander would, like when he was, traveling throughout the world, he would send him specimens of like plants, animals, like, oh, Aristotle's going to love this, he's going to love to study this, so he made sure to send it back home, or back to Athens, should I say, where Aristotle was before the empire fell, and then he had to flee, of course.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the Aristotle quote? He says, when, I mean, I know you're very familiar with this, but when everything's going crazy, he's like, you know what? I won't allow Athens to commit the same sin twice, because they killed Socrates, and he's like, well, they might kill me, so I better get the hell out of here,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think going on since we're bringing up Socrates, a point that I like about him, it's a critique of him, but I think the critique is very consequential and important. Someone made a critique within the Republic saying, Socrates, you don't ever answer any questions, you just ask questions. And I think that's an important part, because when we were talking about these aspects, what was the main point, right? What was the main question? It's like, what is a good man? What is a virtuous man? That was one of the main points within the Republic, I believe. And really and this person gives their opinion. Oh, this is what a good, I'm just going to use the word good. This is what
Yeah.
a good man is. Oh, this is what a good man is. And then Socrates saying, well, what is good? And then through that, you really realize people having different definitions of these words that we're throwing around. So that really communicates to me that we may think we're talking about the same thing, but we're actually talking about very different things. And I feel like that's also commonplace with today when we say things of the same sort of nature. You know, is this right? Is this wrong? And then I feel like Socrates would say, well, what is right and what is wrong? Because if we don't establish those fundamental pillars of understanding, at least, right? Not even agreeing, you know, what the word actually means, but just this is what I mean by this word. And in that context, blah, 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 and then my argument can go from there. And I feel like today as well, we have a lack of understanding of what people are talking about. I feel like we could
Yeah.
use some Socrates, someone who's questioning what, not just what people are saying, but what are the actual words that you're using.
Yeah. Yeah. No, getting to the very bottom of it all, the very core of it, you know? Yeah. Because, like, I remember from the Republic, he says they're having a debate, like, they're talking about justice, and they're talking about,
Mm. Was
like
that
what
it? Was that the main one? What is justice? Or one of the
that was
main ones?
one. That was
That was
one
the
of them.
one.
Yeah. And I remember, I forget all the characters. I remember Glaucon that's Plato's brother. Um, he gives some input, and then shoot, I forget some of the inputs, but I remember the sophist. What his point is, he says justice is essentially the will of the strong.
Right.
That's what it is. Like so might makes right, and that's what he says. And he's like, I won the argument. That's what it is. That's what justice is. And then like Socrates, like, wait, hold on here, hold on. Let's discuss that more. Let's go into depth about that. And then he uses the analogy of as with the ring of Gyges, which is essentially like, I would assume Tolkien. I don't know if Tolkien ever talked about this. But we got the idea with the ring of power,
Mm-hmm.
is like essentially you put on the ring of Gyges and you turn invisible, and like with that the power of invisibility you could kind of do all sorts of crazy stuff. You
Yeah.
could like assassinate people real easy. You could I, sexually assault people.
You
If
could.
you have the lustful desire. You can
Learning a
do all
lot of knowledge you're probably not permitted to.
you can do all sorts of things. Just like you can steal anything, take anything, whatever you want, really, if you're invisible. So it's like essentially like, would that be a good thing? Would that be a good thing for somebody to abuse that power? But I think I think the point is that if there's not justice for all, then justice doesn't really exist.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Expand upon that. Yeah, if there's no justice for all, then there's no justice for anyone.
well, I'm going to use a personal story without getting into too many details about this personal story. But there was a great wrong done to somebody. Let's say that. Let's say a family member, okay? A great wrong. And addressing that wrong causes conflict, it causes turmoil, it can cause stress.
Hmm.
But the way I look at it is if we don't do justice for him, then there's no justice for me. There's no justice for any of my family members. Because if I was a victim and I just decided, oh, well, I was harmed, and everybody just goes, oh yeah, but it wasn't me, it was you. So sorry, buddy, but to address this would be, it's a pain. It makes things hard. Just make things easy because like in the mind of a sophist, it's like whatever benefits me is all that matters. Hence, the whatever the will of the strong is. So if I'm strong and it inconveniences me, then that's an injustice. But the truth is, it's like if you don't defend the honor of others, it's like, then if they're no different than you, so it's like you're essentially dishonoring yourself in that regard. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if I explained that too well. Maybe that's my analogy, but yeah. So yeah, I feel like you have to think about things. That's what I meant. It's like, somebody else is harmed. You have to address that harm and acknowledge the wrongdoing and give a prescription of justice to the perpetrator, or else, you got nothing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if you know what I'm referencing, Stephen.
I feel like I do know what you're referencing. Yes.
Yeah. This is I have two families, and you know the other side, and it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really disappointing when people don't want to enact justice. Yeah. Didn't mean to go on a dark note there, but there it is for the whole world to hear. But without going into details.
Well, I mean, the world is full of darkness, and I'm sure anybody who's listening to anything anywhere, not even this podcast, but just literally every human, there are dark pieces that are around their lives. So I don't think it's once again, this is just another human condition that we're all subject to, right? Nobody gets away from it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think that's why these philosophical concepts are so important as well. You know, I mean, if you do away with them, you do away with everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything leads back to philosophy. Like
I mean, and if you're talking about Wikipedia, literally it does. Yeah.
yeah, what is it? The game you click on the first whatever the first thing is, and eventually enough you'll go to philosophy. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, if anybody at home wants to try it, you've never done it before, if you click on the first true link, like the blue links on a Wikipedia page over and over and over again, it will lead you back to philosophy every time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And I like the concept you're talking of when we're talking about justice. If there's no justice for all, then there's justice for none. And the other trope of no one is above the law. Because if there are certain people who can manipulate the law, then the law is actually not real. And then
Yeah,
it's just more of a weapon of the ones who are immune to it.
yeah. I mean, that's a big problem with tyranny throughout all of human history, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
And are you familiar? You'd be more familiar than I am, given that you are an educated man in the field. Um, it was, I believe it was. I mean, I say Plato, but it's Socrates through Plato. His rankings of governments that he preferred. Go for it.
Well, oh boy, yeah. This is not a very well liked take in the modern era, in the age of liberalism that has dominated for the last several hundred years of liberal democracies. But yeah, essentially, it'd be more of like what would be the correct term? Um, what would it be like a technocracy sort of deal?
Mm,
Would be I believe that's the proper term for it. But basically, like essentially like a liberal democracies. You allow everybody has a say in things, but yet like how knowledgeable on very specialized topics are the
mm-hmm.
masses, and it's like not so much. And yeah, it's essentially like a tyranny of the majority would be like a pure democracy. Although I forget how he ranks them all. I do, but
I believe the first is a benevolent leader, a benevolent king.
Ye- Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, like, because, I think about Rome and I think about, like, you have like famous cases like Nero or Caligula, but then you have other cases like, the five good emperors in Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antonius Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. And it's these good rulers. And yeah, when you have good, like, a good rulers, I mean, not everything's great. Obviously during Marcus Aurelius' time, he had, what he was at war pretty much the whole time. And then
Mm,
also, I believe there's a plague, like a pretty bad plague going on
mm.
at the time as well. So, he's got war and plague, but with that, you do the best you can. Yeah. But yeah, no, if you can get a really just ruler that is able to, you know, uh, defer power to people who are more competent than
Mm.
them in certain areas, yeah, that would be ideal, for sure. I mean, I think so too. I don't think that's, I know that might be controversial. He's like, who are these people? Like, one guy gets to decide. That's wrong, but one wise man is his decisions are going to be better than a million fools,
Mm.
like squabbling, like, and not million fools on the same page, like a million fools, like literally, like, no, yes, this, no, yes, yes, you're evil, whatever. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think the
yeah.
analogy he uses is a ship, and he's basically saying who should decide the functionings of the ship, where it's going, and how it's going to get there. Should it be the passengers on the ship, or should it be the captain? Now, if
There you
you have
go.
you have the majority in the people of the ship, let's just say it's like a cruise liner or something like that. The majority of, I mean, everybody's going to have an opinion, but who has an actually informed opinion? And I thought it was interesting what you said about having that leader who delegates things, because I mean, when you're talking about statecraft, it's it's impossible to know everything. You can't know everything that's going on and how to do it well, I would assume. It's just there's so many obstacles that are going to be put in front of you, and then that's where delegating. Okay, well, I feel like based upon this person's credentials and their knowledge, they should be in charge of this post and that post and so on and so on. And where I feel like things can go really wrong is, so if in Plato's writings, if the benevolent king is the pinnacle of good leadership, by a very fine edge, a razor's edge, the worst one is a tyrant. Just basically the same thing, one person with all the power, but selfish, a lot of these other characteristics that we can throw at them. And instead of, oh, I'm going to put this person in a post because they are qualified for this post, it's more, this is just who I want, and I get to decide who goes where. And it's like, what is that saying? It's like the fine line between being brilliant and madness is, it's a razor's edge.
Yeah. No, and I even heard. I mean, you might know more about Nero than me, but I actually heard they would. He showed promise early on, like he might be like really good, and he's being mentored by Seneca, and yeah, I don't know, but I guess yeah, you get power, and then you're skinning people in the streets. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, skinning people in the streets is not a good sign.
It's probably a bad sign.
Probably a bad sign. And one I
Usually.
also think. Oh, go ahead. What was that?
I know I said usually it's a bad sign. That's all.
Usually, very rare occurrences. That's a good sign. And a big one that I've noticed, you can notice this with a lot of world leaders, throughout time. It's one thing for a people to build a statue of you on their own accord, right? Like, let's say the people of a certain kingdom or anything like that. Maybe years, decades after you're dead, we should erect a statue for this person. But I always feel like it's the leaders who erect statues of themselves as they are the leader. It's it's a slippery slope, I feel. It's quite a slippery slope.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, I'm always a little like, when I see people, like I've heard different celebrities like have like, I mean, it's one thing to like, something to celebrate something that you've done, but if you have a statue in your house of yourself, like that's a
Mm.
bit egocentric. Yeah.
It shows so much about you.
It's very, yeah. I think that's very narcissistic, and I don't think narcissism is a good thing. Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could ever commission a painting of myself to be done. It's one thing to have, I mean, especially in like these times. I get maybe back in the day we didn't have photography. People would, oh, let's get a portrait of this person or that person. That would just be like us taking, and we hang up pictures of ourselves all around. But if I were to like modern day get a picture of me in like a general's outfit from the 1800s with a horse, that's kind of it would be a very telling thing, I feel.
Yeah. This is just a side note, just because I thought this is a hilarious story, even
Mm-hmm.
though it's. So I heard, like how you're saying how you didn't have photography, so like you need to have like oh, here's you, here's a painting of you, whatever, like a portrait of you, and I heard a story that I thought was hilarious. But I heard Benjamin Franklin, when he was in France doing a lot of diplomatic work. Basically, France obviously helped the United States tremendously in the
Mm.
Revolution, or helped form the United States really. And he's over there, he's doing his work the best he can, and he had a like a girlfriend that was like an artist in France.
Mm.
He was like, it's like he had to get his portrait painted, and then he was like, "Sorry, darling, I'm gonna go with this guy. He's a little better."
Oh,
Just like
really?
kind of, yeah. It's like, hey, honey, I'm a painter. That's my profession. He's like, that's nice. I'm gonna go with this guy over here. It's like that's kind of brutal. I just thought it was a funny story. Thought I'd bring it
Backup
up.
painter. Yeah.
He's like, honey, if this guy's the best, sorry, he's gonna paint me. Yeah, but yeah. But anyway, yeah, yeah. So I think like yeah, through Plato, Socrates talks about like the ideal, government, and yeah, you want these like highly specialized people who are trained their entire lives, like essentially like philosopher kings, like trained at like a young age. They're seeing their talent. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting. I should before we started talking about this, I should have like reread the Republic, just to get a little like up to date with it. But I remember he has like different. He classifies people differently. Like there's bronze people. There's
Hmm.
yeah, I forget but like basically people have different strengths, different different weaknesses, different things that they do, and basically like you should be trained at a young age, and you should live a life of not of like like great abundance. You should live like a very humble life, and like to be a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you shouldn't be like living this extravagant life. and your duty is to rule. That's what you do. And yeah, yeah,
And going with that, I think one of the most important things that someone who is in a position of power can realize is what they don't know, recognizing their own flaws, and not even necessarily like, oh, this is a flaw of mine, but, I don't have a ton of knowledge in this area, instead of the opposite of, I know everything. I've got it all down. I'm impervious, right? I think that is when we talk about these philosopher kings, where they can realize, what was the famous line? Like, the only thing I know is that I know nothing.
oh yeah, Socrates.
I think that was in a different context. I think my friend Sid would correct me on that. But but that's a very profound statement, because it's also very, I mean, as humans, I feel like we obviously don't like to feel like that. We obviously don't like to feel incompetent at something. We don't like to feel stupid in something. We want to have the answers to all of these things. And I think it does take quite a brave person and a wise person to actually recognize the things they don't know.
Yeah, well, the if I'm not mistaken, the story is of Socrates goes and sees the oracle at Delphi, and the oracle at Delphi tells him that he is the wisest man on earth,
Mm.
and he's like, "What the hell? I'm an idiot. How I'm not? No, that can't be right. That can't be right." So he goes around and he interviews all these different people, and he interviews like craftsmen. He's like, "These guys are like really good at building stuff, and like they must be smarter than me. They do all
Mm-hmm.
these technical. They have these technical skills that are like far beyond me." And then he interviews them, and he realizes like, oh, they're kind of dull though. Like they're
Mm.
very like smart. They're very mechanical, very pragmatic. But he's like, they have like no like vision of anything. Like they're very
Mm.
just. They have no like grand concepts, or he's like, yeah, they're like dull. And he's like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it's the artists, like the writers, the poets, like the playwrights. Maybe like they write these beautiful fucking stories. They're in the they operate in the ideal, so they're probably
Mm.
smart. So he goes and interviews them, and he realizes he's like, these guys say like beautiful things, but they don't even know what they mean. They just like and I'll bring up like a modern take, like Kanye West, like he'll say things. He's hilarious to me, and I don't mean like in a disparaging way, but he'll like say things and he'll like be like, that just sounded really cool. Didn't that sound cool? It's like it's kind of like a nonsense thing, but he's like that. Like he's like, yeah, I forget what he said, but I remember it made me laugh because he's like, I don't even know what that means, but it sounded good, right? And it's like, yeah, but he's an artist, so like that's what he does. And then Socrates realized he's like, oh, you guys don't even know what you're talking about. So then I think he talks to the politicians, I believe, and these guys are so sure they're like, oh, I know what's what. Like I know everything. And then he goes back and he realizes he says like, well, I realize that these people think they know a lot more than they do, but they don't. And like the big difference between him is he understands that he doesn't know much. And like
Mm.
that's where his wisdom is. That humility guides his wisdom. He's like, yeah, I really don't know shit. And like he's the only one that understands that he doesn't know shit. So therefore,
Mm-hmm.
he is the wisest man. He's like, okay, maybe I am the wisest. Because I understand that. Yeah. Nobody else
Go
seems to.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, that's it. That was it.
It was just I was just gonna say, showing once again those virtues coming into play of humility. So, for example, we have one person who has humility, not trying to cover up their lack of knowledge with just bravado. Oh, like you said, oh, I know this, I know everything about this. Whereas one person goes like, I have no idea. You're speaking ancient Arabic to me here over here, buddy. I have no idea what you're talking about.
The famous Liam Neeson quote. You're speaking ancient Arabic.
And I guess looping back even further, when we were talking about people making very living lavishly, right? Making statues of themselves and so on. It was one of our favorite guys, Diogenes. Was it when he went up to the rich man's house and he had to spit on something?
Yeah, I know that story.
Go ahead, Jared.
Well, I recall, I know where he spits, but it doesn't go like, he's looking around and the rich guy's like, look at all this nice stuff I got, or whatever. And he's like, just spits in his face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You tell the story. I forget the details.
Well, yeah, just like you said, I mean, people usually just don't invite homeless people into their houses, especially if they're nice living aristocrats. But at this point, Diogenes is famous. He's a famous homeless philosopher. And he gets in to this man's house, and this man is showing him everything. Look at the nice rugs, the nice furniture, the nice this, the nice that. And then Diogenes spits on the man, and he's aghast. Why would you do this? That's not a very nice practice, I will say. I don't advocate people spitting on each other, unless all parties consent to it. But and he asked me, why did you spit on me? He said everything else in here was too nice. Just showing once again, Diogenes showing our true natures and the characteristics, but in a very crude way, which I appreciate at times.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't care. He's going to show you no matter how vulgar it is. Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts you've had lately?
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, just having thoughts in general. Something I
Anything you'd
was.
like
Oh,
Oh, sorry, go
go
ahead. I
ahead.
was going to say anything you'd like to share, because of course, I know you and I talk, we got plenty of thoughts about everything, but anything you'd like to share?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading Marcus Aurelius today, and I just wanted to play devil's advocate just a little bit with it,
Okay.
and him specifically. Not really any of the other Stoics. I don't know about a lot of the other Stoics situations, but Marcus is talking. Obviously, a lot of the Stoic principles, and I wonder if he would have those same principles if he were not the emperor of Rome, and all of his he doesn't have to worry about needs at all, right? He's obviously going to have a place to sleep, whether that be a makeshift tent, whether it be a palace, anything like that. He's never going to have to worry about food ever in his life as long as he lives, as he remains emperor. And there are servants, slaves, that would be there at any moment if he chooses to, for whatever reason. And I just thought, is it easy to say those things when you already have all of your needs met like that? I was just thinking that today when I was reading him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting point to make. I mean, one of the other great Stoic philosophers, Epictetus, was in a completely different circumstance, being a crippled slave,
Mm-hmm.
is what he is. Um, I know Epictetus had a huge effect on Marcus Aurelius, if I'm not mistaken. Had huge impact, I believe. Yeah. Wait, did he come first? No, I'm getting a little
I'm not
confused. Yeah.
100% sure.
Yeah, because I know Seneca's before Marcus Aurelius, definitely. Nero comes before. And then, yeah, Epic. I want to say, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he had an impact on Marcus Aurelius. If you didn't, let's edit this all out because now I'm a fool. I'm kidding. We're going. If I'm making a fool's assessment, then so be it.
Hmm.
Maybe all of my assessments are fool. Is that of a from a fool? Who knows?
Hmm.
I certainly don't. But yeah, I I think that's like an impossible thing to say. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you like, shift the circumstance of life, to this or that. I would assume that it probably wouldn't be, like that was like his diary that he was writing, and that
Mm.
that became meditations, and I would assume that maybe it might have not, got so much notoriety, perhaps because he was literally the most powerful human being on earth, which is kind of nuts. Um, but I would assume so, because I'll use an analogy. I'm going to go
Hmm.
into mixed martial arts here.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like this old thought, I think comes from boxing because a lot of the great boxers came from hardship. They came from like, kind of crappy upbringings. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes it's kind of like, it's kind of like, what do you call that? Like, what's the word for that? Like a proverb or something? I don't know. I'm not really exactly sure. I'm a fool again, but that's like a kind of like a thing that people think. Oh, you got to come from a rough upbringing in order to be a good fighter. But then you
Hmm.
have like a famous example would be B.J. Penn. He's
Right.
literally Hawaiian royalty. He's probably the greatest lightweight of all time, minus Khabib. Depending on who you ask. And a fighter right now who's really famous. His name's Arman Sarukian. He's this Armenian fella, and yeah, his father's a billionaire. So
Mm.
Armin, he doesn't have to fight at all, yet he is, and he's really good. Like he's competing
Yeah.
all the time in wrestling and grappling. He's one of the top lightweights in the world. There's a good chance he's going to be champion pretty soon because he has all the qualities to be so. And it's like, would he be, like somebody could say, would he be that if he didn't have the access, that his father allowed him through his great wealth? But I don't know. It's impossible to say, because circumstance does affect your position in life and your values. But maybe, maybe I like to think that, you know, everything is all kind of meant, everything kind of happens how it does. Like, it's already written, so yeah, yeah, we're talking about like an alternate universe here,
Yeah.
yeah, but I would assume not because, the most people think the opposite. It's like, oh, you gotta have like nothing in order to strive to be a great fighter.
Hmm.
But Armin's the opposite, and then maybe in this case, it's kind of like an inversion of like, don't you have to have access to all these things in order to have to be comfortable enough saying all these things? But I don't think so necessarily. No,
Hmm.
I actually kind of, I kind of like it coming from Marcus Aurelius because he does have like he doesn't have to do anything. He could just chill out all day
Very
and
true.
just have like a concubine and just do whatever ancient drugs they were doing. I don't know. He's got what I don't know what were they doing back then. Who knows? You know, but yeah, he could have done that, but he chose not to. And he
Hmm.
wrote about that. Struggles. You know, and I don't know. I feel like he does have very human struggles. Like I know he writes a bit about like getting out of bed in the morning.
Mm.
And he's like it's rough sometimes. It's like super. But that's like something we all have. Like but no, you got to get up. You have a duty to live your life. Where it might just be comfortable to remain in your comfortable bed, which I often do,
Hmm.
shamefully. Yeah,
Yeah, me as well.
yeah,
No, that is a good point because I do think there's a common thought out there that wealth and power will actually bring out the true you of who you are, and you're able to actually exert your will in those sort of ways. But when you do have the wealth and power to show humility, to show restraint, it seems to be that was probably in him the whole time.
I think so. Yeah, because I think there's glaring examples of the opposite. Yeah. I mean, you could even say, well, what's his son's name? I forgot his son. Uh, damn it.
I forget too, but it was kind of mark the end of the good emperors. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Which is
he was very.
interesting. That's actually quite interesting that your dad is known and renowned as being one of the great Stoic philosophers, and he just happens to be an emperor, and yet you somewhat fell short of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, it happens. Yeah. Well, we're 45 minutes in. Should we go into our rankings?
I think it's time.
Should we continue where we left off? Because I think we only hit two.
Yeah, I think we hit about two or three of them. I feel
Yeah, we
like
did.
uh, I feel like we brought up a subject, Jared, and then I think we should go over that subject in the rankings.
Okay, what's that?
I think we should do MMA fighters.
MMA fighters?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jared, just real quick. So, for the people at home listening, what is uh, your experience with MMA and UFC and Pride and all of these organizations?
Are you bringing this up to make fun of me?
No, I'm saying you've been watching this stuff since you were a little kid. You've got VHS tapes of Pride fights. You know, you're not just some layman off the street.
Well, okay. I'll make fun of myself then. So yeah, no. So I've been a mixed martial arts fan for a long time before it was popular. I guess it's really popular now. I'm the hipster MMA guy, and as far as my own martial art pursuit goes, when I was young, I started Kempo karate. I practiced that. I wrestled in high school. I've studied jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu sporadically throughout my adult life. And, I've actually even portrayed boxers on television shows before. If you, watch TV in the 2010s. But I am a jack of all, master of nothing. I'm a master white belt, as I like to refer to myself. Yeah, I've never even trained at a boxing. You have more boxing training than I have, when you're boxing in Korea with a former professional. Yeah, so that's my martial art experience.
But I mean, I think that's I don't think you have to be. I mean, it helps to be a professional fighter and stuff, but I don't think you have to be able to recognize people's strengths and weaknesses and where they would uh, probably how well they would fare against others.
Yeah, I haven't competed in martial arts since besides like in-house jiu-jitsu competitions with my teammates, which I don't really count that. I haven't really competed since my senior year of high school in wrestling. So, but
I mean, I would say though, just casual sparring, whether it be, I mean, in a way, whether it's in a backyard or at an actual gym, I mean, tell me that's not real,
oh yeah,
right?
well, yeah. I mean, it's actually interesting because I've thought about that quite a bit because I was training you and we would drill, we would spar, boxing especially, and it is kind of fascinating because I look at like old trainers from like back in the day, and essentially like, they're kind of like coming from nothing. They were actually like learning on the job. It wasn't like you go to school and like, oh, now you have a master's degree in boxing or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's actually one, oh man, what's his name? I forgot his name. He trains a lot of top fighters out of Jersey. He trained like Frankie Edgar. He trained Edson Barbosa. A lot of really good guys. And that guy is like was basically just like into boxing. And he literally like his job was he owned a pizzeria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot his name. But yeah, it was kind of fascinating because it's like, dude, you're just like a pizza guy who's like into boxing, and yet you're like
Mm-hmm.
training like elite fighters. But he had something that they all liked. I forgot it. Dude, yeah, I could look him up really quick, but I forgot his name. But yeah, but there's trainers like that, and and to be fair, even like a lot of MMA trainers aren't mixed martial artists,
Mm-hmm.
like for example. who was I just listening to? Justin Gaethje's trainer. I should know I know these guys, but he was a boxer. He was a boxer, and but he trains MMA fighters. You know, and yeah. So it is interesting to see, like, where people like draw their knowledge from, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anywho, with that being said, let's do a ranking. Let's do
Let's do it.
MMA ranking.
So once again, it's S through F, comparing them to a Dragon Ball Z character, and our Alex
Oh
Jones
yeah,
ranking.
let's yeah. So if nobody, no, let's yeah. So it's a very popular thing to rank things. Everybody has their own, but the best is you go A, excellent, amazing. B, very good, very good, but flawed. C, they're okay. D, not that good, but have some redeeming qualities. F, they're bad. We're not even talking about them. And then there's a special class above A for the elite of the elite, the best of the best, the kings among kings. And yeah, and then and then we compare them to a Dragon Ball Z character. That might sound silly, but it always makes sense. And then if everyone's familiar with the famous meme going around with what's that guy's name? Alex Jones,
Mm-hmm.
retard, patriot, eugenicist, Moses. Yeah, vampire.
Empire.
Yeah, we'll
A
do that one.
scared man.
Oh, scared. I
My
forgot about
favorite.
that one.
So let's go ahead. Let's start out with somebody I saw a highlight of him yesterday. Let's go Lyoto Machida.
Lyoto Machida, the dragon. Lyoto, former light heavyweight champion of the world, came in with the karate and sumo style, which nobody used. He was a karate guy. Also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Although he's not really known for his groundwork, he was very competent on the ground. Probably an undersized lightweight or light heavyweight. Moved down to middleweight. Finished his career there. I love Machida. I was a giant Machida fan. Didn't really have any boxing ability whatsoever, but didn't really need it because he controlled distance so well. He was so good at blitzing in and out, in and out. And I don't think people like were really ready for that, ready for his timing. So with that being said, Lyoto Machida beat Rashad Evans to capture the title. Had a controversial win over Mauricio Shogun Hua, but then lost the rematch, got knocked out, and never captured the title again, but was still very good. Famously got choked out by John Jones too, but did decent in that first
Mm-hmm.
round. He was the first guy to do decently against John Jones, actually.
Saying a lot.
Yeah, I think John Jones was kind of confused, like what the hell, like how he moves. He moves so well. A little trivia: Brazilian guy, but his father is the one who's his karate teacher from Japan. Yeah, so he's half ethnically Japanese, and yeah. So where do we rank Machida? F. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm kidding. And I'm going to be a harsh critic because we're ranking amongst we're talking all times, all eras, all weight classes, everything, accomplishments, ability. We're factoring everything. So it's not, just one. How well did he do? Yeah, it's everybody in fighting in Japan, in Singapore, and well, what is it? It was one FC. Now it's, I should know this. I forget what it's called now. They changed the name. Um, but yeah, we'll rank Lyoto Machida. I'm gonna give Machida. I'm gonna give him a B plus.
B plus. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm a little biased because I like him so much. Yeah, but just so solid, such a solid fighter. But he did lose. He would lose. He lost. We said John Jones, Shogun. He lost to. Oh my goodness, who else did he lose? I remember he lost to Yoel Romero. Took him out.
Mm.
Chris Weidman beat him. That was a good victory. Luke Rockhold took him out. Yeah. But he has got some great wins. He beat Dan Henderson. I remember that one. Controlled the distance the whole time. His distance control is just elite,
Mm.
which I feel like certain fighters are so like, aggressive. Although there's something to be said with like pressure,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But he was like the antithesis of pressure. He's just like, you try to pressure me, buddy, you're gonna run into something. And yeah, but I'll give him a B plus.
B plus.
Yeah, solid, very good fighter, incredibly good. You could argue amongst the elite of the elite, a little under, but that's what I'd give him B plus. And Dragon Ball Z character, he's my boy Piccolo.
Mm.
Just a solid power, always powerful, top guy at one point, but fleeting. Like he was the champion. He won the championship and they lost immediately, just like Piccolo. You know, he shows up in the Frieza saga. He's like, I'm the strongest guy you've ever seen. I'm literally kicking Frieza's ass. I'm the best of the good guys. No one, and then he gets surpassed pretty quick after that.
Mm-hmm.
Frieza transforms, Vegeta gets his Zenkai boost, Goku gets his boost, and then he's the third strongest guy from that point on. But that's like Machida. It's like you're the strongest guy, and it's like actually you're always like really close, but not quite. And he
Mm-hmm.
also has that very stoic demeanor, just that like a true martial artist, just like just no trash talk, just serious, just like a serious guy. I feel like yeah, he's got to be Piccolo. Yep, Patriot.
Patriot. All right, I
Patriot.
like it. All right, so he's a B plus Piccolo and a Patriot.
That's correct.
Very nice. Let's go ahead next. Go ahead and give me Israel Adesanya.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh boy. Dominant champion. Best striker. One of the best strikers in MMA, period. Just had it all. Had everything on his feet. Really good takedown defense. Competent on the ground, even though he's not a ground guy. He was pretty good at like protecting himself, which is, ask any jiu-jitsu master, be like, that's number one. Just be able to protect yourself on the ground. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it doesn't like flat like, oh, you can submit everybody, like whatever. Like, can you protect yourself? Number one, can you. And he does pretty good at that. He does decently at that. Very good, actually. Not decent. He does good. Yeah, man. All yeah. No, he when he got on the scene, yeah, I didn't like nobody could deal with him. It wasn't who actually beat him eventually. I think it was Sean Strickland beat him. Yeah, Sean Strickland took him out, and he kind of dominated him, which is kind of nuts. Um, and then old South African boy beat him, Dricus Duplessis.
Mm.
He would be a funny fighter to rank Duplessis because he's like a cartoon character. It's like,
Okay, how so?
dude, he's like, you're like, what is he good at? You're like, I don't know. Like he looks awful striking. He looks like so like clumsy. And it's like ground game. Is he like a ground guy? It's like, well, he does good on the ground somehow. He like his takedowns look like they're all accidental. Like every time he takes, it looks like he like when there's a point where he beats Israel. It looks funny. Like he literally takes him down. It looks like he did it by accident. Like he's like, oh shit. He's like falling and like grabs his foot, and then he like Israel like trips, and then he like jumps on him and chokes him. It's like what the hell? It's like
Wow.
yeah, Duplessis. Like
He
I
just
remember
Bugs
some
Bunnied his way to a win.
dude. I've seen people put like funny. They put funny things. They're like Duplessis by piano falling out of the sky. Like he's gonna win. He's probably gonna win, but it's like I don't know. He's just gonna win. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why. Yeah,
Where
he
there's a
just
will, there's a way.
yeah, like and you know that like term in like that literary term plot armor when it's like the
Yeah.
character just like doesn't die. It's just like what the fuck. It's like Duplessis like just has like real like plot armor. It's fucking nuts. Yeah. I do not understand him at all, and neither does anybody else. So, but Israel, I'm gonna give Israel. I'm gonna give him an A. Yeah, I'm gonna say he's an A fighter. He's just excellent. Just yeah, top tier. Yeah, and as far as Dragon Ball Z characters go, He likes Dragon Ball Z too, so
Yeah, I think he's a big anime fan.
no, he's a huge anime fan. He dresses like the Katsuki from Naruto sometimes. It's pretty dope. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give him Frieza.
Frieza.
Yeah, just like a dominant
Interesting.
force. He was like the Frieza of the middleweight division. Just like, good luck with this guy. He's gonna beat you. That's how it's gonna go. Yeah, yeah, but he was so cool. He went up to light heavyweight and challenged old Polish dude. What's that guy's name? Damn, I'm usually good with names, but I'm forgetting people's names. But yeah, I thought that was really admirable for him to do that. Even though he lost that fight, it was still really cool. Like he only weighs like 200 pounds, so it's like the dudes at light heavyweight, those dudes are like huge, like 20 pound dudes, 225, and he's like, fuck it. I'm undersized, but let's go. And yeah, he did well too. He didn't even do poorly. I thought he
Hmm.
did pretty good. Yeah, but yeah. So he's Frieza.
Frieza.
Yeah. And I'm gonna give him an ironic. I'm gonna say nationalist.
He's a nationalist.
Yeah, because he's kind of not a nationalist really, because he's a Nigerian who fled Nigeria to go live in New Zealand,
Mm.
and yeah, so he's not really. It's like whose side are you on, buddy? Are you on Nigeria's side or are you on fucking New Zealand side? Which side are you on? But fuck it, he's a nationalist. He's a
All right. So an A, Frieza nationalist. There we go for Israel. Next up, I'm curious about this one. Let's go Stipe Miocic.
oh my goodness, he's a fighter. I was a Stipe hater for a long time. Not gonna lie, just because I didn't understand him. Like I was like, what is this guy like? Because he comes from a wrestling background, but he's not some elite wrestler. He's a good wrestler. He said he learned striking by playing baseball, which I thought, yeah, that's what because he's a baseball player too. He's like, that's where I learned to strike. And I remember his coaches. He was a shitty striker when he first got into MMA when he was young, and so they made him box. Just all you do is box. And I know he did. I think he was a Golden Gloves champion at some point, which is good. But yeah, just I think I'm kind of a hater of those guys who are like rely. I've talked to you about this before. It's like the guys who just kind of are like physical. They're just like, oh, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. He's got like all these physical abilities. Because when he fought Fabricio Verdum, who's like the opposite of that. Like Fabricio, 80 cc silver medalist, I believe, and that's like the grappling championship, just like an elite grappler who's
Hmm.
trained by what is it? Carnero, who's like a striking coach. I was like, dude, Verdum's gonna beat Stipe, and then Stipe knocked him out. I was like, what the hell? I was like, yeah. But Stipe has proved himself as he's probably the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time, probably. Although he did get knocked out by Ngannou. He won the trilogy between him and Daniel Cormier. He came out on top in that. Although Cormier did knock him out once. And then he lost to John Jones, but I don't know. He was like in his 40s already, so it's like, how much do you? I feel like I hate to say it, but once you're like in your 40s, it's like, all right, you're getting a little too old. Not everyone. Like there's exceptions to that rule. Dan Henderson, Yoel Romero, Randy Couture. There are notable exceptions, but not every man can be at his peak
Hmm.
into his 40s, and so yeah, I think he was like 41, 42 or something when he fought Jones. So um, I'm gonna say Stipe amongst all fighters of all times. Heavyweight, if it was heavyweight, he's S. He's S tier.
Oh, okay.
He would be in the heavyweight. But we're not talking about just heavyweights. We're talking about everybody of all time. I'm going to give Stipe an A minus.
A minus.
Yeah. Yeah. Stipe's an A minus. Yeah. And then Dragon Ball Z characters. He's like, who's somebody in Dragon Ball Z that's like really good, but they don't really like care about training and stuff that much?
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, who would be that? Because, I mean, he trains a lot, don't get me wrong, but he's literally a full-time firefighter, you know? Like,
Right.
he won the title and he was like a part-time fighter, which is nuts. That's why I didn't understand that either. Um, you know what I'm gonna say Stipe is? I'm gonna say he's Gohan.
Go. That makes sense, man. That makes a lot
Yep.
of sense.
Yeah, because Gohan, like, he doesn't even train throughout the later period, but he's still just strong as fuck. It's like for some reason he's just the strongest guy, even though he has like the least experience. Just like, yeah, like Gohan, just like, actually I'm the strongest guy, just even though I have like way less training than all of you. He's like, I just am. I feel like Stipe is just like, I'm just the best heavyweight. Like that's just how
Right.
that's how it is. Like, am I a jujitsu master? Nope. Am I meditating in the woods? Like like fucking Jiri Prohaska? Nope, not at all. He's fucking cleaning toilets at the firehouse. But he's the strong. He's the best. He'd probably beat Jiri. And even though Jiri's like a true martial artist, he's obsessed. It's like, well, Stipe is gonna go work you know, a full day of being a firefighter, and he's gonna come and kick your ass probably.
Right.
So yeah, so he's gone.
I kind of like that. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Stipe, he's gonna be a nationalist for unironic reason. A true American. You know, Immigrant parents came here, made his life. Yeah, I think he even has like an American tattoo on him, so he's a nationalist.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I think he does. Although
Let's go. Oh,
he
go
does
ahead.
he rocks the Croatian checkers sometimes. So I might say
Mm.
traitor. I might say traitor. Traitor.
A
But
nationalistic traitor.
he, he's somehow a nationalist and a traitor at the same time.
Let's go ahead with the man with a sword tattoo right down the middle of his chest. Let's
Oh yes,
go, Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. He's in that same camp of like just like a powerhouse, physical powerhouse, like on another level. My God, so fast, big, strong. No, nobody had the physical ability that he had. I feel like, um, and a really good wrestler, a really strong wrestler, and yeah, choked out Shane Carwin when Shane Carwin was exhausted. Mm. Knocked out Randy Couture. I remember when he fought Randy Couture, he's like, like, I'm not looking at a champion. I'm looking at a 220-pound man that I'm gonna destroy. Like
Mm.
that's what he said. But Randy put up a good fight though. I thought Randy was actually beating him until he lost. Yeah, but he still lost. I'm gonna say Brock. I mean, he was the heavyweight champion, so you have to give him oh my god, I don't. I kind of want to give him a low rate ranking,
Mm.
but
Well, tell the people why.
just because he's so limited, But even though he's limited, it works. So, like, what are we doing? Are we talking about like can he like how good is he tactically on the ground, or like can he throw a spinning wheel kick? It doesn't really matter if he's kicking everyone's ass. I mean, he knocked out Frank Mir on the ground, and Frank Mir's a good jiu-jitsu guy. He beat him on the ground, so you know that says something about that. I'm gonna give him a oh fuck. He deserves at least a B. I'm gonna give him a B,
Yeah.
B flat, because I'm thinking about like other heavyweights like Overeem. I'm thinking of Verdum. I'm thinking of Nogueira, Fedor, Stipe, even DC. Even I'm thinking about those guys. I was like, I think they'd all beat him. I think. Well, I was gonna say I think Kane could beat him, but I was like, Kane did beat him, so it's like it's not. Do I think he'd beat him? He could, and I think
Hmm.
DC would beat him. I think Stipe. I think Fedor in his prime would beat Brock. Yeah, so we're gonna give him a B.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Dragon Ball Z. Who's like he's like just for sheer looks, he's Garlic Jr. He's
Garlic
Garlic
Jr.
Jr.
Yeah.
when he gets all super buff because he
Yeah.
was a force too in that saga. In the Garlic Jr. saga, he was fucking a force.
Mm-hmm.
But Piccolo took it to him for sure. But yeah, he's Garlic Jr. just on sheer looks alone. And I'm gonna say the internet would love this. I don't even know if I agree with this. So Brock Lesnar, if you ever hear this, forgive me. A scared man.
Tell us why. Why, Jared?
Because for two reasons. One, people always talk about they're like that guy's like if you listen to any fight, like that guy's scared to get hit. Look at him, like because he like gets hit and he's like, oh shit, you know. I'm not saying I agree with that. I thought he took a punch all right, but you could say a scared man. And then once he like he left and he went to WWE, you say like he's like he tried and then he's like fuck it, I'm out. He did come back and beat Mark Hunt though in his defense, but Mark Hunt, if Mark Hunt was listening to this, he'd be like, he was a roided up cheat. He was a cheat. He had to cheat to beat me. So he would say, Mark Hunt would say, he's a scared man. Mark Hunt would definitely say that about him. So we're going scared man.
Scared man.
A big, scared, terrifying. I'm scared of him too.
The most terrifying scared man that has ever walked the planet.
Exactly. That's right. Dude, if you were like in like an ancient battlefield, and you just saw him, I'd be like, Steven, stay with me for the love of God, bro. Like, stay right next to me,
I don't even
dude.
think the
This
two
guy's
of us could
fucking.
take him. It's like, oh
Yeah, I
god.
was like, there's no way I can take this guy on my own, bro. Like, not even close, bro. Like, I don't even know if we can. Fuck. Shit. Yeah.
I think we can do one more. Let's go ahead. Give me Shane O'Malley.
Oh, Sean O'Malley.
Sean O'Malley, sorry. See, that's how much knowledge I have.
That's all right. Sugar Sean O'Malley, the former bantamweight champion of the world recently. Yeah, no, really good, really great striker. Actually, underrated on the ground. He got choked out by Marab, but Marab's a fucking wet blanket on you. What are you gonna do? And Sean O'Malley, one thing that he did that I thought was really impressive. He was in a grappling tournament. He submitted the former lightweight contender, or the former Strikeforce lightweight champion, Gilbert Melendez, and he submitted the legendary Takanori Gomi, one of the best Japanese lightweights of all time. He submitted both of them in a grappling tournament. I was like, damn, this guy's like fucking got like he's got grappling skills, you know. And yeah, I would say yeah, no, just like really powerful. He's a skinny dude, but hits really hard and really accurate. Um, yeah, no, he's a great striker. I'd give Sean O'Malley. Let's give Sean a B.
A B? Okay.
A solid fighter, very good, but has some holes as we've seen. Beatable. He's a beatable fighter, but a very incredibly good one. Yeah, and I feel like I always have to say this because people be like, "What the hell are you talking about? Like a champion as a B?" We're talking everybody of all time. Bantamweight, he's probably an A plus. You know, you just consider bantamweight alone. Maybe S, but probably more like A plus. But everybody of all time. B. Yeah, that's what I'd say. And as far as the Dragon Ball Z character goes, man, who would he be? I'm gonna go with shoot. I don't know if I have a good one for him. You know what? I'm gonna give him. Wait, who am I gonna give him? Let me think about this a little bit. All the main guy. You know what? I'm gonna give him Captain Ginyu.
Captain Ginyu?
Yeah, just like a force, a strong guy. You know, maybe not the greatest bantamweight of all time. You know, that's reserved for probably T.J. Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz, or you could even, but dude, he beat the Funk Master, the Jamaican dude from New York. What's that guy's name again? The black dude. I forgot his name. Oh my goodness, I can't believe. Steven, this is crazy. I feel like right now I'm usually pretty good with names, but I'm like his name is just slipping my mind. But anyway, we're going Captain Guinea,
Mm-hmm.
the strongest of the Guinea Force.
Both very
He,
colorful.
that I think that's kind of what did it too. You know? But yeah, that's right. Very colorful personalities, no doubt. Always dancing around, showboating.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's Captain Guinea. And as far as the Alex Jones ranking, Sean O'Malley, vampire.
He's a vampire. Okay.
Because people would like that one too. I like Sean O'Malley though. I think he's funny. He's got a good podcast too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. Very humble, surprisingly. You think like this guy's real cocky, but he's actually very humble. Yeah, but that's that. I wanted to rank Nietzsche. Well,
Let's do
is
it
that?
now. Go ahead.
Oh, should we? Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going to a whole nother category,
We're going
philosophers.
back to the philosophy. Let's do it.
Because the last one you gave me Socrates, and then you gave me Diogenes, and that was it. And then Nietzsche was the third one, but we cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Nietzsche. Yeah, okay. Now, yeah, we're in a whole nother world now. Yeah, Nietzsche, brilliant, one of the best offensive philosophers at attacking different ideas, concepts. Basically, brutalizes Christianity and the Antichrist. Yeah, a very critical philosopher. But his own philosophy is existential philosophy on life, on meaning. I think he's ultimately a failure. I think I don't think his ideas actually hold up. But very good critiques. Um, I would consider Nietzsche. At one point, I would have considered him an A plus. Another point, I would have considered him an F. But now, I consider him B minus.
B minus.
I'll give Nietzsche a B minus. Yeah, he's got his ideas should be considered. You should think about because any philosopher I give a B, I think you should like pay attention to them. Like you
Mm-hmm.
should consider their work. Absolutely. But I think he is flawed. I think he's certainly flawed. Yeah. I might even
What
give him
would
a
you say
C.
Nietzsche's greatest flaw is?
I think I think his whole idea that like life is like our reality is just like a meaningless void and that we have to build our moral structure off of this. I think he's making the wrong assumption. That's what I think. I think his denial of the essence before existence is is a great misstep. And essentially like his philosophy of like, meaning of like human beings, what we're supposed to do. It, yeah, it's interesting. His Ubermensch concept is interesting. But I think ultimately he starts from a false a false uh, pers- perspective. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like I said, his critiques are solid. I mean, he's hard to argue with, really, in a lot of ways. You know. But I told you, not on the podcast, but I said, when it comes to philosophy ideas, it's way easier to attack things than to defend your own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I should probably read more Nietzsche. I stand at the B minus right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe if I read him more, I might bring him down. Maybe I'll bring him up. I don't know.
Right.
But B minus. And as far as the Dragon Ball Z character goes, Tien Shinhan.
Okay.
And
TN.
I'll tell you why he's Tien Shinhan. It's actually parallels my own relationship with Nietzsche. Is when Tien Shinhan arrives on the scene in Dragon Ball at the Tenkaichi Budokai, he is strong as fuck. Like just like, and he can basically like absorb, like he can like learn any attack. He learns the Kamehameha like in an instant. You know, he's a force, like a threat, like a major threat, and he has to be. You know, you have to like respect him. He even beats Goku. You know, and it maybe Goku represents like the philosophy before Nietzsche. You know, maybe he's like the
Mm-hmm.
representative, and then Nietzsche's like destroying that. But in my opinion, it doesn't hold up. And when time progresses, he's not as TN basically becomes like not really a threat any longer. You know, there's greater fighters that surpass him. That yeah, he essentially becomes like not really a force in Dragon Ball Z like
Mm-hmm.
ever again really. And in my mind, even though you have to admire, you have to respect him, you have to see him for what he is and say like, oh man, this guy was a force. I think ultimately he's not anymore. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who would hate that take. I know, but good.
I mean, they can make their own podcast.
Yeah, or write in the comments what you think about Nietzsche.
Yes. Tell us
Why?
what DBZ character Nietzsche would be.
Yeah, or what you would rank him. Maybe you'd rank. I assume if you're into. I don't know. Actually, I really have no idea. I think he typically gets like pretty high praise still. I'd
Mm-hmm.
imagine. Yeah. I mean, he does like delve into like the psychology of human beings quite a bit. Like some people call him like the great grandfather of psychology. Really,
Mm.
like some people refer to him as that. Which yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, I gave him a B minus. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, and Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, he is Tien Shinhan, the former champion of the tournament, and then fade into obscurity. Yeah, he's also a vampire.
He's a vampire. I don't know why that one's so funny to me. The vampires.
He'd probably consider himself a vampire. I'd imagine. Yeah, yeah. So, what do you think about that, Stephen? As far as as this podcast has gone, you think it's a time we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up.
Any final thoughts? Final notes?
Uh, I mean, it's hard, but I think we all got to try to continue those virtues.
Yeah,
Yeah, not too much from me.
yeah. No, and sorry, just kind of continue on with Nietzsche. It's interesting because I feel like Nietzsche, he would agree, but I feel like for me, it's very important to understand, like, because he's trying to build like this like sense of meaning from nothing, from nothingness. But I feel like you have, like the existentialists that came before him, Fyodor Dostoevsky. He says a man must take a leap somewhere.
Hmm.
He must take a leap of faith. This way, it's a leap of faith, or this way. And Dostoevsky says you have to take a leap into God. Like you must
Hmm.
do that. And Nietzsche, I know he's like Dostoevsky, Kierkegaard. They were cowards. I'm going to go where they were too afraid to go. We are going to accept that there is no divine, no essence, nothing, none of that. It's gone. God
Hmm.
is dead. you know, and I'm gonna do it. I'm going to succeed. It was like, I don't think he really did. I think he tried. Might be the most valiant effort of any philosopher to try, but ultimately failed because you're. I think the reason why failing is because you're denying like our reality and all of which this reality comes. It doesn't just come from our minds.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
I
well
like
said.
Plato. I like Plato better.
Hmm.
We didn't rank Plato, but we can rank him another time.
Yeah, we'll finish the rankings next time of the philosophers. Give it its due.
Yeah, I want to rank philosophers that I'm not too familiar with, so I can just butcher their ideas. I'd be like D. He's a D or whatever. Yeah.
All right, though, everybody, thank you for joining the Transparent Cult podcast, and we will see you next time.
Hopefully, you become a member of the Transparent Cult.
Yeah, we've got T-shirts.
That's right.
All right, this is the sign off, Jared. Any last remarks?
Well, Steven, nothing else. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too, man.